You've been misled about the Book of Revelation. The number 144,000 is not about the end of the world. It's a code, a biological sign that your own DNA is being activated right now. This is not a theory. It's a forbidden secret recorded by Thoth, the Egyptian master, and hidden inside the most feared book in history. Religion would never tell you that Revelation is not a prophecy of destruction. It's an instruction manual for your body, a software upgrade that's happening at a cellular level. And if you're watching this video, it's not a coincidence. It's a sign that you're ready. In the next few minutes, I won't just prove to you that your DNA holds sealed divine potential. I'm going to give you the exact key to consciously start that activation. But I need to warn you, what we're about to reveal challenges everything you've ever learned. By the end of this video, you'll understand the secret math that connects your body to the cosmos, and why the mark of the beast might be something you already carry without even knowing it. Stay with me, because the truth about your power has been hidden for far too long, and the revelation begins now. Separate the light from the darkness and the fire from the matter until your inner flame rises and merges with the eternal flame. Most people believe that spiritual awakening happens in the mind, through books or meditation, but the truth, as taught by the ancient alchemists, is that the great work, the transformation of lead into gold, begins with the prima materia, the primordial substance. And this substance is not in some distant laboratory. It is hidden within 72,000 microscopic rivers of light that run inside you, and that, at this very moment, are about to overflow. These 72,000 rivers of light are not a metaphor. They are the Nadis, a vast and complex network of subtle energy channels that run throughout your body. Invisible to the eyes of modern science, but precisely mapped by the sages of antiquity. Think of them as a kind of biological fiber optic wiring designed to carry life force, the energy that yogis call prana. In an average person, the flow through these channels is minimal, just enough to keep the basic functions of life going, to keep the machine running on autopilot. But when awakening begins, something changes drastically. Your consciousness, as it expands, starts to vibrate at a higher frequency. And according to universal laws, a higher frequency demands more energy to sustain itself. It's like replacing a 40-watt light bulb with a 1,000-watt spotlight. The wiring has to handle the new load. Your body then starts to draw a massive amount of prana from the universe, forcing that energy to flow through the 72,000 nadis. It's a flood of life force. Thoth the Atlantean described this force as a flower of fire that dwells at the center of all beings, an eternal flame that longs to rise. He instructed us, raise your flame from that which is below to that which is above, until it becomes one with the flame of all. This is the process of frequency elevation in its purest form. It's not just positive thinking. It's a real energetic event. Your body is literally becoming more luminous, more charged with energy, and the Nadis are the distribution system for this new and powerful reality. This process, however, is not without its challenges. This energy overload in the Nadis is the first and most crucial stage of the alchemical transmutation, a process the masters called calcinatio. It's the trial by fire. The intensified energy acts as a universal solvent, burning and purifying all energetic impurities, all emotional blockages, all crystallized traumas you've accumulated over lifetimes. That's why spiritual awakening can be so intense, bringing up deep fears and pain. It is your own light burning away everything that is not truly you. Your body, in its innate wisdom, needs an upgrade to handle this overwhelming intensity. The energetic structure of a sleeping person simply cannot support the voltage of an awakening soul. It's like trying to channel the energy of a hydroelectric plant through the fragile wiring of an old house. The system would short-circuit, resulting in physical and mental chaos. The structure needs to be reinforced, prepared for the next stage of the great work. This energy overload in the 72,000 channels would be chaotic and destructive, if not for a divine safety mechanism built into our design. The body, following the Hermetic principle of rhythm, which states that everything has its flow and ebb, has a compensation system. It doesn't allow this energy to disperse. Instead, it channels it, directing it precisely into just 3 main channels, laying the groundwork for a fusion of unimaginable power, an event the alchemists revered as the coniunctio, the sacred marriage. The dance of the serpent, the fusion of the sun and the moon within you. The entire torrent of energy that flooded the 72,000 channels is now directed into 3 main pathways. The true pillars of your energetic architecture. To the left of your spine runs the channel known as Ida, the lunar current, feminine, cool and receptive, connected to your right brain hemisphere, the center of intuition and creativity. To the right runs Pingala, the solar current, masculine, warm and active, connected to your left brain hemisphere, the center of logic and reason. And in the center, like a hollow pillar of light, lies Sushumna, the central channel, the royal path of ascension. In most people, Sushumna remains dormant, blocked. Life energy flows only through Ida and Pingala, keeping the person trapped in the world of duality, swinging between logic and emotion, action and passivity, day and night. You live this split every day. It's the inner battle between what you feel and what you think. The war between your heart and your mind. This is the standard human condition, the prison of duality that keeps us spinning in circles, never finding our true center. But when the frequency of awakening intensifies, something miraculous happens. The energies of Ida and Pingala, now supercharged, begin a cosmic dance. They awaken at the base of your spine and begin to rise, not in straight lines, but in a spiral motion, intersecting at specific points that correspond to your energy centers. The chakras. This image of a double ascending helix is the true awakening of the Kundalini, the energy of the sleeping serpent, a universal symbol of the evolutionary force latent in every human being. In Hermeticism, this dance is the manifestation of the principle of gender. Everything in the universe has its masculine and feminine poles. The sun, Pingala, and the moon, Ida, are not just celestial bodies, they are archetypes of forces operating within you. The alchemists knew this. They called Pingala sulfur, the masculine, fixed, fiery principle, and Ida Mercury, the feminine, volatile, watery principle. They taught that the great work, the creation of the philosopher's stone, is only possible when the king, sun, and the queen, moon, unite in a sacred marriage. Thoth, in his timeless wisdom, referred to this process as the path to immortality. He wasn't speaking of endless physical life, but of the transcendence of consciousness beyond the limitations of the body and duality. He said that man, to become a master of life, must first become sun-moon, perfectly uniting the opposing forces within himself. This union is not a battle where one side defeats the other. It is a synergistic fusion where both are transcended, giving rise to something entirely new. This spiral dance of the energy serpents has a destination, a final meeting point. They rise along the spine, purifying and activating each chakra along the way, until they reach a power center located between your eyebrows. When these two opposing forces, the sun and the moon, the masculine and the feminine, finally meet at this specific point on your forehead, they don't just add up or balance. They annihilate each other and are reborn in an explosion of light. They multiply, and the result of that multiplication, a secret guarded by alchemy for millennia, reveals the exact math behind the code 144,000. The explosion of light that occurs when Ida and Pingala merge is not poetic fantasy. It is the activation of your sixth energy center, the Ajna chakra, better known as the third eye. This is not a physical eye, but an awakened pineal gland, an interdimensional portal that, when activated, allows perception beyond the five senses. It is the seat of higher intuition, clairvoyance, gnosis, the direct knowing of truth. The fusion of these two opposing energy currents at this point is what creates unity from duality. Here, sacred mathematics reveals itself in all its glory. The combined power of the 72,000 Nadis, now unified and focused, doesn't just add up. It is amplified exponentially. The number 144, which you see again and again, is the numerical symbol of this amplification, representing the power of the fully activated third eye. In some esoteric traditions, the Ajna chakra is described as a lotus with two main petals, which are in fact 96. And when unification occurs, its power doubles, resulting in a frequency of 144. It is the vibrational signature of unified consciousness. But the journey doesn't end there. This amplified energy, this 144 frequency, now rises like a pillar of fire through the central channel, Sushumna, toward the top of your head. There, it meets the seventh and final center, the Sahasrara, the crown chakra, the portal to cosmic consciousness. This center is symbolized by a 1,000-petaled lotus, representing the infinite connection with the All, with the Source, with Gasi. The 1,000, in sacred numerology, is not a literal number, but a symbol of totality and magnificence. And now, the great revelation, the formula that Thoth and the Hermetic Masters hid in plain sight. Take the frequency of the activated third eye, 144, and multiply it by the amplification power of the crown chakra, 1,000. The result is 144,000. This number was never about a count of people to be saved. It is the equation of enlightenment. It is the mathematical formula for activating your light body, the vehicle of consciousness that the alchemists called the golden body, and which Thoth described as the Soma Heliacon, the solar body. Thoth taught, one by one, the centers are awakened. The goal is reached. Man becomes one with the master of life. Each chakra is a lock in a secret chamber within you. The fusion of Ida and Pingala at the third eye is the master key that, once turned, begins the unlocking sequence of all the locks, culminating in the opening of the crown portal. You are not being saved by an external force. You are activating a potential that has always been within you, following a precise divine blueprint. Now that the code has been cracked and the math revealed, an inevitable and disturbing question arises in our minds. If we all have this divine potential, this ability to activate our light body, what is stopping us? Why do we live as shadows of ourselves, disconnected from this power? The Book of Revelation speaks of seals. The shocking truth, the truth that will shake your beliefs, is that these seals are not protection, they are a prison. And as Thoth warned ages ago, they were placed upon humanity's memory. Breaking the seals, the truth about junk DNA. The idea of seals has been distorted for centuries, presented as a mark of divine ownership, a sign of protection for the chosen ones. But in esoteric language, a seal is a block, a lock, something that prevents access. And these seals aren't on some ancient scroll in the sky. They are imprinted in your very biology, specifically in your DNA. Modern science, in its arrogance, mapped the human genome and found that more than 98% of it didn't seem to code for proteins. They called it junk DNA. How ironic. That junk DNA is not junk. It is your latent divine potential, a biological supercomputer placed into hibernation mode. These are the 10 additional strands of DNA that were deactivated, sealed, leaving only the double helix functional, just enough to operate a physical body in survival mode, but not enough to express the fullness of your consciousness. Spiritual awakening, therefore, is the process of breaking those genetic seals, of reactivating those dormant strands, and reclaiming your cosmic inheritance. Thoth spoke extensively about this. He described how the lords of Amenti, the guardians of the underworld, kept humanity in a state of captivity through forgetfulness, placing a veil of darkness over the soul of every man. This veil is not a poetic metaphor. It is the energetic and genetic seal that limits our perception, that makes us believe we are only physical, mortal beings, separate from the source. It's what keeps us trapped on the wheel of karma, lifetime after lifetime, forgetting who we truly are. Alchemy, the sacred art of transformation, describes this standard human state as lead. Lead is dense, dark, heavy, poisonous. It is the symbol of ignorant consciousness, trapped in matter, identified with the ego and its fears. The alchemist's great work is the transmutation of that lead into gold. Gold is luminous, incorruptible, solar. It is the symbol of awakened consciousness, of activated DNA, of the manifested light body. And the secret agent that allows this transformation is your own consciousness. Consciousness is the alchemist's secret fire, the universal solvent that can dissolve the seals. When you raise your frequency through intention, meditation, love, and self-knowledge, you are literally sending a high-voltage current of energy through your genome. This energy begins to awaken the dormant DNA sequences, to reconnect deactivated circuits, to transform the lead of your being into the gold of your true nature. You are the alchemist and the laboratory at the same time. The idea that consciousness can rewrite its own DNA might sound like science fiction to the programmed mind. But the truth is that the original name of the Book of Revelation held the key to this entire process. The change of that name from something that meant an internal unveiling to something that suggests external destruction was no accident. It was a deliberate act to make us look outward, to the sky, for salvation or doom, when the secret to unlocking our power has always been within. The word we were taught to fear, apocalypse, comes from the Greek apokalypsis, and its original meaning has nothing to do with fire, brimstone, or the end of time. It simply means revelation, unveiling, removal of the veil. The greatest manipulation in history was taking a manual for inner enlightenment and turning it into a terrifying prophecy of external destruction. The prophecy was never about the end of the world. It was always about the end of your world, the end of the illusion you believe to be real. This unveiling process is entirely personal and depends on your level of consciousness. The Corpus Hermeticum, the collection of texts attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the same master the Egyptians knew as Thoth, states clearly, "He who knows himself knows the all." Revelation is not receiving information from outside. It is self-knowledge, gnosis. It is looking inward and finally seeing the truth behind the lies you've told yourself about who you are. If a person operates from a base consciousness, dominated by fear and identification with the material world, how will they experience this unveiling? Their internal reality of fear will be projected outward. They will see the apocalypse as catastrophe, war, plagues, and divine punishment. The external world will become a perfect reflection of their inner hell. The universe is not punishing them. It is simply showing them, on a giant screen, the content of their own consciousness. But as consciousness rises, as you begin to disidentify from the ego and connect with your essence, the nature of the revelation completely changes. What is unveiled is not external monsters, but the layers of conditioning, the limiting beliefs, the ego masks that were separating you from unity. The apocalypse becomes a process of liberation. Each veil that falls is a chain breaking, revealing more of your light, more of your innate divinity. This fear-based narrative around the apocalypse was not created by chance. It serves a very specific purpose, to keep humanity at a low frequency where it is easily controlled. A person in fear seeks an external savior, gives away their power to authorities, whether political or religious. A person who knows their own divine power cannot be controlled. The prophecy of fear is the Matrix's most effective tool to prevent mass awakening. And that fear narrative is fueled and sustained by the most feared and misunderstood symbol in the entire prophecy, the number 666, the infamous mark of the beast. But what if I told you that the beast is not a horned demon or a tyrannical world leader? What if the beast is a state of consciousness, a mode of operation that Thoth described as the man who lives in darkness without the light of the soul? And maybe, just maybe, you are operating in that state right now without even knowing it. Decoding 666, the prison of matter. This is the turning point, the moment when the veil is torn. Forget everything you've heard about microchips, antichrists, or a one-world government. The mark of the beast, the number 666, is an esoteric code, not a literal technology. It is the vibrational signature of human consciousness when it is completely imprisoned in the world of dense matter, operating exclusively from its three lowest energy centers: the root chakra, survival, fear; the sacral chakra, desire, addiction; and the solar plexus, power, ego. In sacred numerology, the number 6 represents man, matter, physical creation. Think of the cube, a six-sided shape symbolizing the three-dimensional world. The number 666 is the maximum intensification of that condition. It is the profane trinity, mind, body, and soul completely subdued by the illusion of matter. It's when you believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are your body, that your identity is your name, your profession, your possessions. It's consciousness trapped in the rat race, endlessly chasing security, pleasure, and power in the external world. Thoth called this condition the shackle that binds man to the sphere of the earth. It is spiritual amnesia in its most acute state. The mark on the forehead and on the hand mentioned in Revelation is purely symbolic. The forehead represents thoughts, the hand represents actions. To bear the mark means that your thoughts and actions are governed solely by your lower nature, by the inner beast. Your thoughts are of fear, scarcity, and separation. Your actions are of competition, greed, and self-preservation at any cost. The heart, the fourth chakra, the portal to higher consciousness, to love and unity, remains sealed, disconnected. This is the truth organized religion would never tell you, because its existence depends on you seeking salvation outside yourself. The beast is not an external enemy you need to fight. It is your own untransmuted lower nature, your own ego running unchecked. Revelation, therefore, is not a prophecy about the coming of an antichrist. It is an alchemical manual on how you can and must transcend your own inner beast. You don't need to wait for a savior or fear a demon. The battle is internal. The enemy is your own ignorance, your own fear, your own identification with form. The victory is not in defeating an army of demons, but in transmuting the energy of your three lower chakras and raising it through the heart, uniting heaven and earth within yourself. You are the battlefield, the warrior, and the prize, all at once. The journey out of the 666 frequency, out of the prison of matter, is the true ascension. It is the rise of consciousness from the beast to the God consciousness. And that journey has a name: the apocalypse, the great unveiling of who you truly are. But this journey is not a walk in the park. It involves an inevitable reckoning with yourself, a fundamental principle known in Hermeticism as the law of cause and effect. Now that you understand that the beast is an internal state of consciousness, the journey of ascension becomes clear. It's not about being lifted into the heavens in a body of light. That is a literal interpretation that keeps you passive, waiting. True ascension is an active, conscious, and deliberate process of raising your own vibrational frequency here and now in this body. It is the great alchemical work in full action, the transmutation of the lead of fear into the gold of unity consciousness. The journey from beast consciousness to God consciousness is the revelation itself. Every step you take to free yourself from fear, to forgive, to act from love instead of selfishness, is a step up the ladder of ascension. You're not ascending to a physical place, but expanding your consciousness to embrace higher realities that already coexist with yours, but were invisible to you from within the 666 frequency. Thoth described this inner journey with precision. He called it the passage through the seven lords, the guardians of the seven great centers of consciousness, the chakras. To ascend, the soul must conquer and master the energy of each of these centers, from the base of the spine to the top of the head. To conquer the first chakra is to overcome the fear of survival. To conquer the second is to master desire. To conquer the third is to relinquish the power of the ego, and so on until the soul is freed from darkness and becomes a morning sun, a self-sustaining source of light. Every thought you choose, every emotion you transmute, every action you take from a place of consciousness instead of automatic reaction is a step you climb on this inner Jacob's ladder. Ascension is not a one-time event, but the sum of thousands of small daily choices. It is the decision to respond with patience instead of anger. It is the choice to see unity instead of separation. It is the act of silencing the mind to hear the wisdom of the heart. The entire universe supports you on this journey. When you decide to ascend, to raise your frequency, you become a beacon of light. Higher dimensional forces and intelligences, which previously could not interact with you due to vibrational dissonance, can now approach to guide and protect. You are not alone, but the first step must be yours. The law of free will is supreme. No force may intervene unless you give permission through your own intention to evolve. But what happens if a person refuses to take this journey? What happens if they choose to remain in the comfort of their prison, in the familiarity of their suffering? The universe, in its infinite compassion and intelligence, does not abandon that soul. It has a correction mechanism, a divine rebalancing system to ensure that no part of the whole remains lost in darkness forever. Revelation calls this mechanism the final judgment, and Thoth described it as the moment when the soul is inevitably weighed on the scales of justice. The final judgment, the scales of karma and the second coming. The word judgment has been burdened with fear, guilt, and punishment. We were taught to imagine an angry, bearded God on a throne, separating the good from the bad. This is a childish interpretation of a profound and impersonal cosmic process. The final judgment is not a punishment. It is karmic calibration. It is the inevitable application of the Hermetic law of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. You are not being judged. You are simply encountering the results of your own actions, thoughts, and intentions. Judgment is the great return. It is the moment when the effects of all your causes, created over many lifetimes, come back to be experienced, understood, and resolved. That's why this process is also called the second coming. It is not the arrival of an external messianic figure. It is the return of your own Christ consciousness, your enlightened awareness that emerges when you finally take 100% responsibility for your creation and integrate all the lessons your karma presents to you. In the ancient Egyptian texts, Thoth, as the scribe of the gods, presided over the ceremony of the weighing of the heart. After death, the soul was brought to the hall of the two truths, and its heart was placed on one side of a scale. On the other side was the feather of Ma'at, the feather of truth, justice, and cosmic order. If the heart, heavy with actions and intentions from life, was heavier than the feather, the soul had to return to incarnation to learn more. If the heart was as light as the feather, the soul was free. This is the true judgment, a measurement of your vibration. There is no external judge. The universe simply functions as a perfect mirror, reflecting back to you the truth of your being. The challenges, crises, and difficulties you face are not punishments. They are karmic reflections, perfectly designed opportunities for you to see where your heart is still heavy, where you are still out of alignment with truth, where you still need to forgive, to love, and to free yourself. The second coming is the moment you stop fighting those reflections and begin using them as tools for your own healing and ascension. It's when you realize that every person who hurt you was a disguised teacher, showing you a wound you needed to heal within yourself. It's when you understand that every obstacle was a blessing, forcing you to find a strength you didn't know you had. It is the moment you become one with the light, not by escaping the world, but by fully integrating it. And now, everything converges. The 144,000 code that began the journey, the breaking of the DNA seals that revealed your potential, the journey from beast to God that defined the path, and the karmic judgment that calibrated your soul. All these threads unite in one single and monumental final revelation, a truth so simple and so powerful that it can set you free in an instant. The prophecy is not about the future. It is about you. It is about now. We've reached the heart of the mystery, the truth that has been hidden in plain sight for millennia. After all the decoding of numbers, the understanding of seals, and the confrontation with the inner beast, the conclusion is shocking in its simplicity. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, Hermes, the thrice great, and all the wisdom masters have whispered the same thing through the ages. The forbidden secret is that there is no separation. You are not separate from God. You are an individualized expression of divine consciousness. Divine DNA is not something you need to acquire, reach for, or strive to attain. It is your true nature. You don't have a soul, you are a soul having a human experience. The apocalypse, the great unveiling, is not a map to find God somewhere out there. It is the instruction manual for removing the veils of amnesia and remembering who you truly are. The battle between good and evil, angels and demons, does not take place on a celestial battlefield. It happens in the theater of your own mind. As written in the Corpus Hermeticum, in a direct message from Hermes to sleeping humanity, O people of the earth, men born and made of elements, but with the spirit of the divine man within you, awaken from your slumber of ignorance. The slumber of ignorance is believing that you are only this body, this personality, this life. Awakening is remembering your immortal heritage, your divine nature, and your power as a co-creator of reality. The promise of the title can now be fully delivered. The truth that religion would never tell you is this: you do not need a middleman. You do not need an external savior, a guru, or an institution to connect you to the divine, because the connection was never lost. You were only taught to believe it was. The key, your consciousness, the code, your DNA, and the power, your life force, have always been and will always be within you. The great alchemical work is yours to carry out. The responsibility and the glory are entirely yours. You are the lead and the gold. You are the prisoner and the liberator. You are the question and the answer. There is nothing left to search for outside. The journey now turns inward, to the daily application of this knowledge, to the embodiment of this truth in every thought, word, and action. The revelation is not the end of the journey, it is the true beginning. You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. Now that the veil has been lifted, now that you remember, the only question left is, what will you create with the infinite power you've just rediscovered within yourself? The revelation is now. The choice is yours. And the entire universe holds its breath, waiting to see what you will do. If you've made it this far, it means this message resonated with something inside you. I want you to leave in the comments, "The code has been revealed." That way, I'll know who has truly awakened to this truth. And if you want to help the channel spread this knowledge even further, I left a special link in the first pinned comment where you can contribute directly. This means a lot to me and to the growth of the channel, as it's the only way we can keep bringing content like this. But know that the very fact you made it to the end already helps a lot. If you can, share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. It makes all the difference. And don't leave yet. I saved a special video for you to continue this journey. It's right here on the screen now. Click it and I'll see you there.